calls me from out of the pit.
I'm Paul.
I'm Mark.
And this is the return of the son of the show,
where we are this week going back to reviewing the classic Battlestar Galactica television series.
After a long hiatus.
Yes, a bit of a hiatus after the War of the Gods two-parter.
Yeah.
Which kind of explains what we're doing this time around. So we watched Fire in Space and War of the Gods and decided it'd be too long of a review to do all 3 hours.
Yeah.
So we did War of the Gods. So now we're doing kind of bookending that episode with the Fire in Space tonight as episode 1 of our 2-part review, and then the follow-up to War of the Gods called The Man with 9 Lives. And so that'll be our reviews for
Not
tonight.
to be confused with the man with the golden gun.
Correct. Yes, or Morris the Cat with 9 lives. So let's start with. I guess we're going to start. We're not saving the best for last this time. No,
unfortunately.
Yeah. So we're going to start with Fire in Space. Quick synopsis of it: a Cylon kamikaze, pretty much, attack engulfs the Galactica in flames, trapping crew members and critically injuring Adama. As Adama's life hangs in the balance, and the fire continues to spread, it's up to Moffat, the mechanical Daggett, to lead firefighters to the rescue. In this episode is the typical crew, along with guest stars. Our guest cast this time around is William Bryant as the fire leader, who you call the...
Not Brian Keith.
Brian Keith, yes. The poor man's Brian Keith.
The poor man.
And we couldn't afford Brian Keith.
Brian Keith was off getting shot in Sharky's machine and couldn't show up this week.
And then Jeff McKay as the fire leader.
Yes.
So those are our guest stars for this. So light on the guest stars, but heavy on the supporting cast actually having a piece, a part involved.
Commander, looks like a Cylon combat probe.
Launch Blue Squadron to intercept. That's not a combat probe.
They're mounting a major attack.
Follow the programmed mission. 1 micron to impact coordinates.
He's going for the bridge.
We had to watch this twice.
Yes.
We watched it a while ago and then got distracted with a bunch of other stuff and
projects.
Because we wanted to give it a fair shake. We thought, well, let's watch it again. And then not just because it's paired up with the next episode, but watching it a second time, I like it a lot more than I did the first time. The first time it was kind of for me, but my love for disaster movies kicked in, and it's like they took an entire disaster movie and put it down into a 1-episode story.
Yeah.
I would have. I don't think you could have stretched it out into 2, but the only way you could have stretched it out into 2 is ironically a show that's light on guest stars.
Should have had
a shit ton of guest stars.
Where was our Shirley MacLaine?
Yes. Where was Ernest Borgnine?
Yes. Where was Ernest Borgnine?
George Kennedy.
Yes.
Red
Space Manny. where was Space Manny?
There's got to be a Galactica. The other thing I noticed this time around when you were reading off some of the stuff, I got to thinking about it. I'm like, wait a second. When you said about how Moffat had to basically say that,
right?
It's an episode of Lassie too.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Oh man, I minus some of the production silliness that we noticed this time around. I enjoyed this episode a lot.
Yeah, so I think I said this in a previous episode. So Fire and Space for me as a kid was my favorite episode. And it's the one that I remember in detail as an adult. And that's because, again, disaster films.
Yeah.
So I was a disaster film nut when I was a kid, still am.
Yep.
And so this was Galactica meets Galactica, an Irwin Allen production is what this episode
That's
was.
right.
And so it's Towering Inferno meets a little bit of Poseidon Adventure, kind of.
Yeah, there's some because of the ship motif. There's definitely
but definitely Towering Inferno,
and Guns of the Navarone,
and Guns of the Navarone with the footage that's used for all the fire scenes. We did some research and found it came from the finale of Guns of the Navarone.
As soon as I saw the cave wall behind some of the burning, constructs, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, it even has it shares the same solution that Towering Inferno does. So in Towering Inferno, to put out the high-rise fire, Steve McQueen, they have to blow up the water tanks on top of the Inferno. And in this one, they have to shoot some sort of fire suppression, fancy word, onto the fire. And so it's literally the same plot. Minus, but yeah, you're right. It would have been great to have some people die.
Yeah.
And but I guess because I was doing research on some parts of the show, or actually I was looking up that footage. It does say that the censors were heavily involved in this episode, so they didn't want to have too much. Like they apparently they couldn't show Cylons killing humans directly,
so they made them into kamikaze
pilots. But I don't think they wanted anybody on the Galactica dying.
Right.
So that killed. That's why I think we were able to have this in one episode.
Well, we were doing the joke where, because in the beginning, when this full on Cylon invasion happens, and none of them are shooting back, and the Vipers are just So the couple of other the
Cylon Raiders.
The Cylon Raiders come flying in like, prepare to die. Wait, what? I didn't sign on for this.
What about my wife and kids? Are they compensated for my sacrifice?
You will receive 37 Cylon virgins in the next life.
Yeah, it was. I mean, my thing was, and this is pre-Baltar, so I'm assuming this was a Baltar plot, because of course, in War of the Gods, he ends up turning himself in, thanks to Iblis. But why not just send why not send 20? If that's your plan, is we'll just fire Cylon Raiders at the Galactica. Send 20 of them. You got plenty.
Mm-hmm.
So just, you're losing 60 Cylon warriors and 20 odd ships.
Yeah.
I think if the Galactica had gotten hit by that third Raider, that was it, because those shields weren't anything.
I think it was like budget.
Yeah. Well, and it would have ended the series had Galactica. The fact that or if the budget had shown like they shot up everybody else but two of them.
Right.
But they didn't. They even kind of the jump cuts and the reused footage of the battle made it like, where's our? Because I know Sheba says, "Where's our backups?" And then you see like 7 warriors come to help them, but you don't get to see the whole battle. So just a little plot confusion there.
Yeah.
So, but as a kid, didn't care. As a kid, it was fire. It was, Boxy and Moffat being the heroes. So as a kid, I was all in as a kid.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
I think probably because it was kid heavy, that's one of the reasons why they cracked down on people, dying on the
right.
I'm just gonna, in my head, people died off camera.
Yeah.
So,
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Otherwise,
Right. Or I'm sure people died when they crashed into the ship.
yeah, somebody bought it.
Luckily, it didn't hit any of the major areas.
Yes.
Let's see, what else? I did like that Boomer and Athena take center stage.
Yeah.
And we actually get some unfortunate fleshing out of Boomer's character.
Yeah.
When I was your age, kid, I was stealing hubcaps off of...
Here's this guy, probably a classically trained actor. Yeah. He's probably done theater for all we know, and he's like, I get the center stage. Yeah, what's my lines? Well, I used to hotwire cars. God damn it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. At times, it appears to be the Three Musketeers, him,
Yeah.
Apollo, and Starbuck.
Yeah.
But he's clearly the third wheel. He's clearly
He's the fourth musketeer. The one you never know the
D'Artagnan.
name
He's
of
the
it.
D'Artagnan. Yes. I mean, although Athena's more of a damsel in distress in the same room as Boomer.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought they did a good job. They at least mussed up her hair and put some smoke on her.
It was just nice seeing her do more than sit on the bridge and
Correct.
say things.
Right.
You know.
Or get passed over for Cassiopeia in every episode. Which, come on, Star Wars.
Something I'll never understand.
No, me either. And so, but yeah, I like Boomer. Boomer saves the day. Boomer risks his life. And so it was interesting to see that kind of Apollo and Starbuck weren't. I mean, they're busy shooting globs onto the hangar deck.
For what was probably not a scheduled thing, because we established earlier that the 2-part episodes are basically established stuff.
Right.
And everything else is filler. Which is why some of it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
This was a good episode.
Yeah.
This was not wearing the space cowboy hat.
Right.
It was a good solid, again, ripped off a couple plots.
Yeah.
But it was a good solid ripoff.
Yeah, I also liked now later in the episode, Apollo and Starbuck do take center stage, where they're setting the charges on the outside of the ship to send the fire out into space. We pointed out, yes, you can see the strings, but not only because this is HD quality now, Blu-ray or DVD, and so, but I really liked their 50s sort of retro spacesuits. Those were really cool looking.
It needed
yeah.
When they get out there, because those suits were very well. They were probably holdovers from some
50s,
50s sci-fi movie.
But they look cool.
Yeah, and even though there was a couple times where you could see you could see Starbuck's wrist clearly.
Yeah,
but that just added to the charm.
Well, and my thing is okay, Star Trek First Contact, everyone's thrilled that they're all walking on the hull of the ship.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
That's
Battlestar Galactica way earlier.
Who ripped off who?
Yeah, exactly. Star Trek. I did think it was odd that a couple things now as an adult I question. So
I question a lot of things.
In the immortal words of Captain Kirk to Khan, the bridge is smashed, the computer's inoperative. They do all that damage. I mean, we're talking like a David Tennant regeneration blows up the TARDIS. The big arches are falling down.
Yeah.
And, so the whole bridge is totaled. The computers are destroyed. But by the War of the Gods, it's all fine. I mean, they have amazing capabilities for repairs for being a ragtag fleet,
and that's like solid state equipment. That's a couple fuses. You'll be fine.
Yeah. So maybe a little spick and span, and some wires. But I thought it was a bit ridiculous that the supporting beams of the bridge fell for him.
Yeah, I mean the bridge got blown to hell,
and so. It would have been nice for one continuity episode to have it still be under repair.
Yeah.
I mean, they do, of course, Ronald D. Moore picked up on that in the new series
Battlestar to the new series.
Of course, it is what it is. But there's no way we can watch it unless you beg us in the comments.
You're gonna pay me to watch it.
I know that's a long series. We could watch the best of episodes. But BSG the Battlestar gets the shit beat out of it in the new series, but that was
they could have saved on budget between shoots to not clean up.
Correct.
Or clean up a little bit.
Yeah, just have in the background, have a couple guys in colonial cleanup gear,
looking like the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, colonial hazmat suits.
Look like the Beastie Boys and Galactic.
Yeah. So. And then I also thought, and again, it's a kid's show in many ways, and logic is not really part of the show. So the fact that, Moffat does save the day by smelling out, what were they called? Smooshies?
Smudgies?
Smooshies, schmooze, eat schmooze. So
something like some green tapioca-looking brownie thing.
But you know what I want, now that you say that? Where was my Battlestar Galactica can of green slime that would have been called Smudgies. Cookie or
Tonight's
pudding.
episode of Battlestar Galactica is brought to you by Nabisco's Smoopies or
Schmoopies, yeah.
Smooshies.
It's Schmoopies.
Smoopies.
But it worked for me as a kid, so I loved it. I loved the fact that the Moffat was the hero.
Yeah.
Smelled the schmoopies and saved the day.
Yeah.
But interesting that for a ragtag fleet that is barely surviving, well, we got plenty of money and time and expenses and parts to build a whole new Moffat for a kid.
Well, partially rebuilt.
Yeah.
He was burning pretty good. Moffat. Okay, so Moffat's running around in the tunnel, in the corridors, doing the John McClane thing.
Right.
John McClane meets Lassie.
Yeah.
And I got to thinking about this because they use a chimpanzee.
Yes. Shit.
Yeah. So anyway, so Moffat's running around through the ducts, doing a John McClane impression, and we find out that as kids that there's a chimpanzee in these things, that, different chimpanzees and stuff, and my brain went, could you imagine like being like the person in charge of like that suit and trainer for the monkey or chimpanzee, and unprovoked that thing just loads its diaper?
Yeah. Well, especially when there was a scene where the fire was pretty close.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
he was probably from us to the camera away from those flames, and I'm like,
maybe this was written backwards. Maybe the suit was totally trash and they had to burn it because it smelled so bad.
Speaking of disaster movies, if you like fire in space and you love disaster movies, I'll put a link down below for Nick's book on disaster movies.
Correct.
It's a fun read. He did more research than any one man should be allowed to.
Yeah.
Watched more movies than one should be allowed to. And it's all worth it because it's a great book. I'll put a link down below.
Yep, perfect. All right. Well, that was the highlight of our double feature picture show.
And nowhere to go but down from here, kids.
Yeah. So The Man with Nine Lives, which airs immediately following the War of the Gods. So we do get some talk about Baltar being arrested. It starts with Adama dictating into the computer.
Yes.
But legendary Fred Astaire guest stars as Shamalian. And that is pronounced correctly.
Yes.
A con man desperately trying to elude a band of Borrelian nomens on a blood trail. To ensure his own safety, Shamalian masquerades as Starbuck's long-lost father to gain entry to the Battlestar Galactica. The two men start to become close, as Starbuck struggles with the thought of what suddenly having a father will mean to his future. And so this...
Tonight on a very special Battlestar.
Yes. So, of course, as already said, the guest cast, we have the typical cast. This is the very main cast this episode.
Yeah.
So, I mean, although we do get, Jolly. Fat old Jolly comes back on.
Yeah, Jolly actually. I remember Jolly being in the show more than
Me too. And he really isn't.
No.
Tonight's guest cast is, of course, already said, the legendary Fred Astaire as Shamalian.
Of Ghost Story fame.
Yes. Then we have Anne Jeffries, who plays a socialite that Shamalian cons in the beginning of the episode.
I want to get back to her.
Okay. Her name is Cyrus Blassie, which sounds like a Star Wars character. And then we get the three no men. So we have Lance Legault, who plays the leader, Mega.
Also known as Colonel Decker in A-Team.
Correct, yes. Robert Firo as Bora, who's his sort of second guy, older warrior with him.
Mhm.
And then as the young warrior, Taba, played by Anthony DeLongis. So, The Man with Nine Wives, written by one of our favorite, Don Belisario of Quantum Leap fame. But
This episode was a whole lot of nothing.
yes,
It was the most fillerest of filler episodes. It turned Starbuck into basically a sitcom character.
Yeah.
Where, these guys have had each other's back for centons, and suddenly Fred Astaire pops up, says, "I'm your daddy," and he's like, "You can't be happy for me," then
Right.
and he runs
Our
off.
friendship is over.
It's like he should have ran away, and you had that like sitcom music, or like something poignant happened before it goes to commercial. It was awful.
I think it's even worse.
It's even worse than awful.
Yes. I think it's where I think Don Belisario got drunk one night, had a script that was due for Battlestar Galactica, and he was sitting around watching an episode of The Love Boat.
Yeah.
This felt like The Love Boat.
There is
because you get an old man guest star who's a con man, and who yet, has a poignant lesson that he learns as a con man. That's like straight out of Love Boat.
Yeah, there's more guest stars in this episode than there was in the disaster episode.
If they had killed all these, if this one had come 1st and then all these guest stars died in the fire episode, that'd be great. If we watched Chameleon Burnham, I really am your dad.
Okay, spoilers though. The very ending of it, I kind of liked the reveal. I thought it was. It was tender, okay? I'm not saying it was great, but it was tender. Well, I'm not saying that makes it a good episode.
The fact that he was really the dad.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of... that he's like, you know what? I don't want to tell him because he's going to throw his life away.
All right.
Now, I'm not saying it elevates it anyway, but I thought that was kind of nice. I don't remember it as a kid. I don't even remember this episode at all as a kid.
No.
But... yeah, I'm not. Give it that one little thing for me. The rest
there's a couple things I do like in it, which we can get to, but let's keep digesting the things we hated in the episode, because I have a much longer list of things I hated.
Yeah, like I said, it's not gonna. It doesn't elevate it for me. It's just I thought it was neat.
Okay. I put he really ends up the father ? ! ! ! ! ! Which is my shorthand for bullshit.
Yeah. Well,
so anyway, that's my thoughts on the ending. But
but it was logical because she was talking about when they were doing the 23andMe thing with her with them, and it was like narrowing down and narrowing down and narrowing down. It's like the logic is sound.
Okay, I agree. I mean, I understand. I just thought it was cheesy.
I'm not saying it wasn't.
Okay.
But I thought it was nice.
Okay. All right. Nice. All right. I guess we should keep talking about stuff. Now we're back on the things we like. So
no, go ahead.
I did like my favorite part of the episode, because I don't remember this episode either. Is the Interfleet broadcasting channel.
Oh yeah, that was kind of cool,
because they really amped that up in the sequel series, or the reimagined series, having the press and everything. I didn't realize they had recruitment videos for. I mean, that was that was clever, and the fact that actually got used as a plot point for the No Men to sneak aboard the Galactica as new recruits.
Everything in this episode is used.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tightly written episode.
Yeah.
For being a crappy Love Boat episode. Yeah. It's a well-crafted
crappy Love Boat episode.
I mean, it is Don Belisario, so he's a good writer. But I like the fact that the recruitment video gets used later in the storyline, as does the woman that you want to talk about later. Or is she something you liked as well? Should we talk about her now? Because she does come back in the end too.
Okay, here's the thing about her. First of all, I'm sitting here, Fred Astaire and her, they're on that shuttle plane going to the gambling
the Rising
vessel
Star,
or whatever
Rising
it is.
Rising Sun.
And
or Star.
It doesn't matter.
It's Rising Star.
It's the Las Vegas hotel
Yes, yes.
of the Galactica convoy. Anyway, so they're sitting there and they're talking to each other, and she's digging him, and he's trying to like, he's trying to figure out how to wheedle out of it, and I'm like, first of all, this was a golden opportunity. They completely fumbled this ball.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there going, they should have just used Brett Summers.
Brought her back, yes.
And then I got to thinking, well, who is that? So I get on my phone. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Again, this is one of those things that happened in Hollywood back then. I think it probably still happens now a lot more. But as old as that woman was, Fred Astaire was still like 30 years older than her.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did a little more digging. That's Brett Summers' character.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh.
So she must have been
Been
busy
recast.
being
Man,
on
she's just drunk on Match Game.
yeah, she's out her and Charles and Nelson Riley. So yeah, that or she was doing theater, because I think she did theater too.
And you're right. I bet if we go back.
That's why in the end, when Adama's like, we're gonna push you off onto her to get her out of our hair. I'm like, wait a
That
minute.
makes sense. Because he wanted to get rid of her too.
Yeah.
Don't bring her back around.
She acted like Brett Summers as that character.
Yes.
It was just, I'm a Summers fan. I wish she could have been the part. And that actress, I can't remember what her name is. You mentioned it. She was
Ann Jeffries.
Yeah, Ann Jeffries was a TV show like veteran.
Oh, okay.
She had. I was scrolling through her IMDb like this. Good God, what wasn't she in?
Mm.
I think she may have even been in Love Boat. I could be mistaken.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, this isn't Lance Legault's first episode either. He was in Lost Warrior episode.
Yeah, he was one of the guys that with the tin cowboy.
Yes, he was. Yeah. So, which is too bad. I like him as an actor.
Yeah, as an actor, he's a great.
And actually, he's a really good bad guy in this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have my issues with the No Man, but as far as like a bad guy, he's solid in this episode.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes way more sense now.
Yeah.
So speaking of the No Man, and remind me to come back to the Rising Star as well. I have a complaint about that. So, yeah, as you said, as we were watching the show, so apparently not only did they steal from Star Wars, this is the episode where they stole from Star Trek.
And the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Because they stole those forehead.
Yes,
models.
the forehead. Yes, molds. Yes, but yeah, the Borrelian No-Men are clearly Klingons.
Clearly.
I mean, they have knives. They have blood hunts. They have to be warriors. They're shamed and lose their status. But at the same time, there's something that Maga says. He goes, "Well, we come from a planet of the mega suns and sands." I'm like, wait a minute, Nomen, Fremen. Oh man, they're Dune. They're Dune Fremen.
Yeah.
So they're Dune Fremen with Klingon heads.
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I'm not a Dune-ite.
Well, neither am I. We could. Well, maybe we should. Let us know in the comments if you'd like us to discuss both the David Lynch and the new Dune movies.
Don't make me watch the Dune movies.
I'll just tell you how bad they are.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, seriously, we'll spend like 2 hours on the David Lynch, and we'll be like, new one, and that'll be the end of it.
If we did the David Lynch, we should just sit here for like a half an hour, and then we'll voice over our voices for the thing,
or we'll be like, it'll all be in our heads. The new one.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just terrible.
We'll just be talking.
What did each other? They made Arrakis so boring. And
why is Sting in this movie?
Yes. Why is Aquaman get such top billing in the new version? Okay, but anyway, so so they're Fremen with Klingon heads. I do like their bolo weapon though.
Yeah.
As a fan of Princess from Battlestar, from the Battle of Planets.
Yeah.
I do like the laser-powered bomb, and then they get to pick them up and keep using them.
Yeah.
I like their weapons. So, and I as we were watching it, I'm writing it going, okay, so clearly there are more than just the triple-eyed aliens ladies in. They're not aliens. They actually make a point of that in the episode.
Yeah,
they are
are we
humans.
not human?
Yeah. So they're a genetic offshoot who develop all these abilities and foreheads because of the planet they moved to. So apparently that forehead
is the shadow.
shades your eyes. Yes. It's like, oh, the mega suns. Oh, they're clearly none of them are Luke Skywalker looking up at the mega suns. Yeah. And then what else? And then for me, the other question I have is, although I've already answered in my own head, so we'll do that here. But
how would you fill it out for the rest of this?
the rising star. So we have episodes where it shows people starving in cramped conditions, yet we've got a fully operational Vegas running.
Yeah.
Money, food, drink, entertainment. And then I realized, it's just the 1%. It's so they would have that. At first I'm like, how would that not have been dismantled and spread throughout and shared with the people who poor
what
people?
What are they going to do with the money?
No, wait.
Where would they? Where beyond the convoy?
But the food and the drinks and the clearly they have.
Yeah.
But then I realized, wait a minute, the 1% never shares with the poor people.
No.
So they just got lucky that they were on the Rising Star.
Don't be fooled, kids.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what the Rising Star did have.
What's that?
It had that kick-ass Giorgio Moroder, disco beat.
I put in my notes. Because it was a complaint. Where is it? I put crappy leftover disco music and costumes from Buck Rogers of the 25th century.
I mean, I'm not gonna argue. It was. I would much rather watch the Buck Rogers scene than that. But I was listening to that.
I liked the outfits and the triangle thing they were.
But it was for me it was the quasi Giorgio Moroder music that I kind of like. It couldn't get too classy and too cool.
So anyway, as Sheba has just been introduced, I'm a little bit disappointed that she's already kind of fading in the background
and dumb. So just like at the beginning of the show, I'm Paul.
I'm Mark.
This has been the return of the son of the show,
Battlestar Galactica edition. Fleeing from the tyranny of Season 3 of The Bionic Woman, the return of the son of the show leads a ragtag group of reviewers on a lonely quest. A shiningly good episode of Battlestar Galactica.